Hello there. Welcome to Victoria English Podcast. I am so happy you're here with me today. This is Victoria, and I am your English teacher and friend. Before we start, if you are new to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. It really helps us grow and make more lessons for you. And if you have been with us for a while, thank you so much for your support. Now let us begin our lesson. Today we are going to talk about something very practical and useful. We are going to learn how to talk about your job responsibilities in English. This is a very common topic. You might need to talk about your job in many situations. Maybe you're at a party and someone asks you what you do. Maybe you are in a job interview and they want to know your daily tasks. Maybe you are meeting new people and they are curious about your work life. Whatever the situation, knowing how to explain your job clearly in English is so important. Do not worry if you feel nervous about this. Many English learners find it hard to talk about their jobs. They know the words in their own language, but in English, the words do not come easily. This is completely normal. Today, we will fix this problem together. I will teach you simple, natural sentences that you can use right away. You will feel more confident after this lesson. I promise. Let us start with the basics. When someone asks you about your job, they might say, "What do you do?" This is a very common question in English. It means, what is your job or what do you do for work? You can answer with a simple sentence. For example, you can say, I am a teacher, or I am a nurse, or I am a business owner. This is the simplest way to answer. But sometimes, people want to know more. They might ask, what do you do in your job? Or what are your responsibilities? Or what does a typical day look like for you? These questions are asking about your daily tasks. They want to know what you actually do at work. This is what we will focus on today. Let me give you some important vocabulary first. These are words you will use again and again when talking about your job. The first word is responsible. If you are responsible for something, it means it is your job to do it or take care of it. For example, I am responsible for answering emails. This means answering emails is one of your tasks. Another example is, she is responsible for managing the team. This means she takes care of the team and makes sure everything is going well. The next word is manage. To manage means to be in charge of something. You make decisions and you make sure things happen correctly. For example, I manage a small team of 5 people. Or, I manage the company's social media accounts. Another good word is handle. To handle something means to deal with it or take care of it. For example, another useful word is oversee. This means to watch over something and make sure it is done correctly. For example, I oversee the production process. This means you watch the production and make sure everything is going smoothly. You might also use the word coordinate. To coordinate means to organize things so they work together well. For example, I coordinate meetings between different departments. This means you arrange meetings and make sure everyone is there at the right time. Now let us talk about how to describe your daily tasks. You can use simple verbs like write, read, talk, meet, help, create, plan, and organize. These are very common action words. For example, you can say, I write reports every day. Or, I read emails and respond to them. Or, I talk to clients on the phone. These are simple sentences, but they are very clear and easy to understand. It is also good to use time words. Time words help people understand how often you do something. You can use words like every day, every week, once a month, usually, sometimes, and never. For example, I usually start my day by checking emails. This tells people what you do first in your day. Or, I sometimes attend meetings in the afternoon. This tells people that meetings happen sometimes, but not always. Now let me give you some example sentences. Imagine you are a receptionist. You can say, I am a receptionist. I answer phone calls and greet visitors. I also manage the appointment schedule. My job is to make sure everything runs smoothly at the front desk. This is simple and clear. You have told the person your job title and your main tasks. Imagine you are a graphic designer. You can say, I am a graphic designer. I create visual content for websites and social media. I also work with clients to understand their needs and make designs that they love. Again, this is simple and clear. You have described what you do in a way that anyone can understand. Imagine you are a cashier at a supermarket. You can say, I work at a supermarket as a cashier. I scan items and handle payments. I also help customers find products and answer their questions. This is perfect. It is simple, honest, and easy to follow. Now let us talk about how to sound more natural. Native English speakers do not always use very formal language when talking about their jobs. In casual conversations, they use simpler words and shorter sentences. For example, instead of saying, I am responsible for managing inventory, you can say, I manage the stock. Instead of saying, I facilitate communication between departments, you can say, I help teams talk to each other. This sounds more natural and friendly. Another thing to remember is to use I a lot. When you talk about your job, you are talking about yourself. So you want to use I in almost every sentence. I do this. I handle that. I am in charge of this. This makes your speech personal and clear. Let me teach you some useful phrases that you can use to start your sentences. These phrases are like building blocks. You can use them in many different situations. The first phrase is I am responsible for. For example, I am responsible for training new employees. The second phrase is I am in charge of. For example, I am in charge of organizing company events. The third phrase is I handle. For example, I handle all incoming calls. The fourth phrase is I work on. For example, I work on improving our customer service. The fifth phrase is I deal with. For example, I deal with customer inquiries. These phrases are very useful. They will make your English sound professional and clear. You can practice by choosing one phrase and completing the sentence. For example, I am responsible for. And then you fill in your task. I handle. And then you fill in your task. This is a great way to build confidence. Now let us practice with a longer description. Imagine you are a project manager. You can say, I work as a project manager at a tech company. My job is to make sure our projects are completed on time. I coordinate with different teams to keep everything on track. I also manage the budget and make sure we do not spend too much money. Every day, I have meetings with my team to check our progress. I am responsible for solving problems that come up during the project. This is a wonderful description. It is clear and detailed, but not too complicated. Now imagine you are a teacher. You can say, I am an English teacher. I teach students of all ages. My main responsibility is to plan lessons and deliver them in an engaging way. I also grade assignments and give feedback to students. Every day, I spend time preparing materials for my classes. I also meet with parents to discuss student progress. I love my job because I get to help people learn and grow. This is a beautiful way to describe your job. It shows what you do and also how you feel about it. Now let us talk about some common mistakes that English learners make when talking about their jobs. The first mistake is forgetting to say a or an before the job title. For example, people sometimes say, I am teacher, but it should be I am a teacher. Or I am engineer, but it should be I am an engineer. This is a small mistake, but it is important to fix. The second mistake is using the wrong preposition. People might say, I am responsible of, but it should be I am responsible for. Or I am in charge about, but it should be I am in charge of. Prepositions can be tricky, but with practice, you will get them right. Another mistake is using too much formal language. Some English learners try to sound very professional and use big, complicated words. But this can make you sound unnatural. It is better to use simple, clear language. Native speakers appreciate clear communication. You do not need to impress anyone with fancy vocabulary. Just speak naturally and honestly. Now, let me give you some tips for practicing. The first tip is to write down your job description. Write it in simple English. Then read it out loud. Do this several times until it feels natural. The second tip is to practice with a friend or a language partner. Ask them to ask you questions about your job. Practice answering them in English. The third tip is to record yourself speaking. Listen to the recording. Notice where you pause or hesitate. Then practice those parts again. The fourth tip is to watch English videos about jobs and careers. Listen to how other people talk about their work. Notice the phrases they use. The fifth tip is to be patient with yourself. Learning a language takes time. Do not expect to be perfect overnight. Just keep practicing and you will improve. Now let us talk about how to answer specific questions about your job. The first question is, what do you do? You can answer, I am a job title. For example, I am a software developer. Or, I am a customer service representative. The second question is, what does your job involve? You can answer, my job involves task 1, task 2, and task 3. For example, my job involves writing code, testing software, and fixing bugs. The third question is, what are your daily responsibilities? You can say, my daily responsibilities include task 1, task 2, and task 3. For example, my daily responsibilities include checking emails, attending meetings, and creating reports. The fourth question is, what do you like about your job? This is a nice question. You can say, I like working with people. Or, I like solving problems. Or, I like being creative. The fifth question is, what is the most challenging part of your job? You can say, the most challenging part is dealing with difficult customers. Or, the most challenging part is meeting tight deadlines. Being honest about challenges is okay. Everyone has challenges at work. Now let me give you a sample conversation. Imagine you are at a party. Someone asks you about your job. They say, what do you do for work? You say, I am a marketing manager at a fashion company. They say, oh, that sounds exciting. What do you do exactly? You say, I create marketing campaigns. I also manage our social media accounts. And I work with designers to make sure our brand looks great. They say, that is really interesting. Do you enjoy it? You say, yes, I love it. I get to be creative and work with amazing people. This is a simple, friendly conversation. It shows how you can talk about your job in a natural way. Now let me give you another sample conversation. Imagine you are at a job interview. The interviewer says, tell me about your current job. You say, currently, I work as a customer service supervisor. I manage a team of 10 people. My main responsibility is to make sure our customers are happy. I handle complaints and solve problems quickly. I also train new employees and help them learn our system. The interviewer says, that sounds like you have great leadership skills. You say, thank you. I really enjoy helping my team succeed. This is a professional and confident answer. You have described your job clearly and shown your skills. Now let me talk about some advanced ways to describe your job. If you want to sound more detailed, you can use phrases like in addition to, as well as, and besides. For example, in addition to managing the team, I also handle the budget. Or, as well as answering emails, I also prepare weekly reports. Or, besides training new employees, I also organize team events. These phrases help you add more information without making your sentences too long. You can also use the word primarily. This means mainly or mostly. For example, I primarily work with clients. Or, my job primarily involves data analysis. You can also use the word occasionally. This means sometimes, but not often. For example, I occasionally travel for business. Or, I occasionally work on weekends. Using these words makes your description more precise and interesting. Now let me give you some more vocabulary words. Collaborate means to work together with others. For example, I collaborate with other departments. Implement means to put something into action. For example, I implement new policies. Generate means to create or produce. For example, I generate reports. Maintain means to keep something in good condition. For example, I maintain the database. Prepare means to make something ready. For example, I prepare presentations. These words are useful for professional conversations. Now let me give you a long example. Imagine you are a nurse. You can say, I am a nurse at a large hospital. My job involves taking care of patients and making sure they are comfortable. I check their vital signs like blood pressure and temperature. I also give them medication and help them with their daily needs. I work with doctors and other nurses to create treatment plans. Every day is different. Sometimes I have to handle emergencies. It can be stressful, but I love helping people get better. This is a wonderful description. It includes the job title, daily tasks, and even feelings about the job. Now imagine you are a business owner. You can say, I own a small coffee shop. I am responsible for everything. I manage the staff and make sure they are happy. I order supplies and make sure we always have fresh coffee beans. I also work on marketing to bring in new customers. Every day, I start early and check that everything is clean and ready. I love the smell of coffee and seeing my regular customers every day. This is a warm and personal description. It gives people a clear picture of what you do. Now let us talk about what to do if you do not have a job. Maybe you're a student. You can say, I am a student. I am studying business at the university. My daily responsibilities include attending classes, doing homework, and studying for exams. I also work part-time at a library. This is a great answer. It is honest and clear. Maybe you're retired. You can say, I am retired now. I used to be a teacher. I taught high school English for 30 years. Now I enjoy gardening and spending time with my grandchildren. This is also a great answer. It shares your past experience and your current activities. Now let me talk about how to describe your job to people who do not know your field. Sometimes our jobs are very specific and technical, but when we talk to people outside our field, we need to use simpler language. For example, if you're an accountant, you can say, I work with numbers. I help companies keep track of their money. This is much easier to understand than saying, I handle financial statements and tax returns. Or if you are a software engineer, you can say, I build websites and apps. This is easier to understand than saying, I write code and develop software architecture. Always think about your listener. Use language that they can understand. Now let me give you some phrases to avoid. Avoid saying I just when talking about your job. For example, do not say, I am just a receptionist. The word just makes your job sound less important. You have an important role. Say, I am a receptionist with confidence. Avoid saying I only. For example, do not say, I only answer phones. You do more than that. Say, I answer phones and greet guests with pride. Your job is valuable no matter what it is. Now let us practice some more. I will say a sentence, and you repeat it after me. Ready? I am a teacher. Good. I am responsible for lesson planning. Excellent. I manage a team of 5 people. Great. I handle customer service. Perfect. I coordinate meetings. Wonderful. I write reports every week. Awesome. I work on new projects. Fantastic. I help people solve problems. Amazing. You are doing so well. Keep practicing these sentences. Say them out loud. Make them your own. Now let me talk about how to describe your work schedule. Sometimes people ask, what are your working hours? You can say, I work from 9 to 5. Or, I work Monday to Friday. Or, I work part-time. You can also say, I have flexible hours. Or, I work remotely from home. These are useful phrases. Another question is, do you work overtime? You can say, sometimes I work overtime. Or, no, I usually finish on time. These are simple answers, but they're very common in conversations. Now, let me give you a story. This will help you see how to put everything together. Imagine a woman named Maria. Maria is a designer. She is at a networking event. Someone asks her about her job. Maria says, I am a graphic designer. I work for a small agency. My job involves creating designs for websites and mobile apps. I also meet with clients to understand their vision. I work closely with developers to make sure the designs work well. Every day, I start by reviewing my tasks for the day. Then I work on my projects. I usually have a few meetings each week. Sometimes I work late when we have tight deadlines. I enjoy my job because it is creative and I get to see my designs come to life. This is a great example. Maria sounds confident and clear. She gives a full picture of her job. Now let me give you a story about a man named John. John is a delivery driver. He talks about his job. He says, I drive a truck for a delivery company. I pick up packages from warehouses and deliver them to stores. My day starts early in the morning. I check my route and plan my stops. I drive for many hours, but I like being on the road. I also handle paperwork and make sure all deliveries are signed for. The hardest part is bad traffic and bad weather. But the best part is meeting new people at the stores I deliver to. I have been doing this for 10 years and I still enjoy it. John's description is simple but effective. It gives us a good understanding of his daily life. Now, let me give you some final tips. Tip number 1 is to keep it simple. Do not try to say too much. 2 or 3 sentences about your main tasks are enough. Tip number 2 is to practice with enthusiasm. If you sound excited about your job, people will be interested in what you say. Tip number 3 is to use body language. When you talk, use your hands and your face to express yourself. This makes your communication more effective. Tip number 4 is to ask questions too. After you talk about your job, ask the other person about theirs. This makes the conversation balanced and friendly. Tip number 5 is to be honest. If you do not like your job, you do not have to pretend. You can say, "My job is okay. It pays the bills." Now let me remind you of some key phrases one more time. I am responsible for. I am in charge of. I handle. I manage. I work on. I deal with. I coordinate. I oversee. I create. I help. These phrases will be your best friends when talking about your job. Learn them well and use them often. Now let me give you a short practice exercise. I am going to give you a job title and I want you to think of 2 or 3 tasks for that job. For example, if I say chef, you can say, a chef cooks food and manages the kitchen. If I say police officer, you can say, a police officer protects people and enforces the law. If I say photographer, you can say, a photographer takes pictures and edits photos. If I say teacher, you can say, a teacher plans lessons and teaches students. If I say doctor, you can say, a doctor examines patients and prescribes medicine. This is a great way to practice your vocabulary. Now, let me give you some questions to think about. What is your job? What are your daily tasks? What is your favorite part of your job? What is the most challenging part? How long have you been doing this job? Think about these questions. Write your answers in simple English. Then practice saying them out loud. This will help you prepare for real conversations. Now let me talk about why this topic is so important. When you meet new people, the first few questions are often about work. It is a way to connect. It is a way to find common ground. If you can talk about your job confidently, people will see you as a confident English speaker. It will open doors for you. You will feel more comfortable in social situations. You will also be more prepared for professional situations like interviews and meetings. So learning this topic is really valuable. Now I want to encourage you. Maybe you feel shy about your English. Maybe you think your pronunciation is not perfect. But remember, communication is not about perfection. It is about connection. People want to understand you. They are not judging your grammar. They are listening to your ideas. So do not be afraid to speak. Do not be afraid to make mistakes. Every mistake is a learning opportunity. Every conversation is a chance to improve. Now let us talk about how to continue learning after this lesson. Listen to this podcast again. Listen to it while you are driving or walking or doing chores. Repeat the sentences out loud. Write down the vocabulary words. Make your own sentences with them. Practice with a friend. Watch other English videos about jobs. The more you practice, the easier it will become. Consistency is the key. A little bit of practice every day is better than a lot of practice once a week. Now let me give you one more example. Imagine you are a customer service agent. You can say, I work in customer service. I answer phone calls and emails from customers. I solve their problems and answer their questions. I also help with orders and returns. My goal is to make sure every customer is happy. Sometimes customers are angry, but I try to stay calm and help them. I enjoy my job because I like helping people. This is a perfect description. It is clear, honest, and friendly. Now imagine you are an IT specialist. You can say, I work in IT. I fix computers and help people with their technology problems. I also manage the company's network and keep everything secure. Every day, I respond to support tickets and visit people's desks to help them. It is a busy job, but I like solving problems and making things work. This is another great description. It tells people exactly what you do. Now I want to share a little secret with you. Talking about your job is also a way to practice your English grammar. When you describe your job, you use the present tense a lot. This is great because the present tense is very common. You also use action verbs. You practice subject-verb agreement. You practice sentence structure. So by talking about your job, you are improving your overall English skills. It is a win-win situation. Now let me talk about different types of jobs. There are so many jobs in the world. You might be a teacher, a nurse, a driver, a cashier, a manager, a writer, an artist, a musician, a farmer, a mechanic, a lawyer, a pilot, or a salesperson. Every job is important. Every job has its own tasks. And every job can be described in simple English. The key is to use the phrases we learned today. Now let me talk about how to describe a new job. If you just started a new job, you can say, I just started a new job. I am still learning my responsibilities. Right now, I mostly observe and ask questions. I am excited to get more involved. This is a great way to describe a transitional period. People will understand that you are new and still figuring things out. Now let me talk about how to describe a job change. If you recently changed careers, you can say, I used to be a teacher, but now I work in sales. It is very different, but I am enjoying the challenge. This shows that you are adaptable and willing to learn. People will be impressed by your honesty and flexibility. Now let me talk about how to describe a job that is unique or unusual. If you have a job that is not common, you can explain it in simple terms. For example, if you're a voice actor, you can say, I use my voice to perform in animations and commercials. If you are a dog trainer, you can say, I train dogs and help them learn good behavior. If you are a tour guide, you can say, I show tourists around the city and tell them about its history. Always think about how to explain your job in the simplest way possible. Now, let me give you a long practice passage. Listen to this, and then try to say it yourself. Hello, my name is Victoria. I work as an English teacher. My job involves teaching English to students from all over the world. I plan lessons and create learning materials. I also grade assignments and give feedback. Every day, I talk to my students and help them improve their speaking skills. I love my job because I get to meet amazing people and help them achieve their goals. This is my job description. It is simple and clear. Now I want you to write your own job description. Use this as a template. Fill in the blanks with your information. Hello, my name is your name. I work as a job title. My job involves task 1, task 2, and task 3. I also additional task. Every day, I daily activity. I love my job because reason. This is a great way to practice. Write it down. Read it out loud. Make it yours. Now let me talk about the importance of pronunciation. When you talk about your job, make sure you say your job title clearly. Practice saying it several times. If you have a difficult job title, break it into syllables. For example, administrative assistant. Say it slowly first, then faster. Also, pay attention to the stress. In English, we stress certain syllables more than others. For example, teacher has stress on the first syllable. Engineer has stress on the last syllable. Listen to native speakers and try to copy their pronunciation. Now let me talk about the importance of intonation. Intonation is the rise and fall of your voice. When you are listing your tasks, your voice can go up and down. For example, I answer calls, I handle emails, and I manage schedules. This sounds natural and engaging. Also, when you say something positive, your voice can go up. I love my job. This shows enthusiasm. When you say something challenging, your voice can go down. The most challenging part is, this shows seriousness. Intonation helps you express your feelings. Now let me give you some cultural tips. In American culture, people often ask about jobs early in a conversation. It is seen as a friendly way to get to know someone. It is not rude. So be ready to answer this question. Also, in American culture, it is common to talk about work in a positive way. Even if you have complaints, it is better to focus on the positive aspects. You can say, my job is busy, but I enjoy it. Or it has its challenges, but I like my team. This shows a good attitude. Now let me talk about how to end a conversation about your job. After you talk about your job, you can ask the other person about theirs. You can say, what about you? What do you do? This keeps the conversation going. Or you can say, it was nice talking about work. Let's take a break from that topic. This is a smooth way to change the subject. Or you can say, I could talk about my job all day, but I don't want to bore you. This is a humble way to end the topic. Now let me give you some final words of encouragement. Learning to talk about your job in English is a big step. It shows that you are growing and improving. Every time you practice, you get a little better. Do not compare yourself to others. Everyone learns at their own pace. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. You are doing an amazing job just by being here and learning. Now I want to say thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for your commitment to learning English. I am so proud of you. You are brave. You are determined. And you are making progress. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. Keep going. Keep learning. Keep speaking. You have the power to achieve your goals. Before I say goodbye, I want to remind you again. If you are new to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. It really helps us. And if you enjoyed this lesson, please like it and share it with your friends. Your support means the world to us. We make these lessons because we love helping people learn English. We want you to succeed. Now let us do a quick review. Today we learned how to talk about your job responsibilities in English. We learned key phrases like, I am responsible for, I manage, I handle, and I work on. We learned vocabulary words like coordinate, oversee, and collaborate. We practiced descriptions for different jobs. We talked about common mistakes and how to avoid them. We learned how to answer common questions about work. And we practiced speaking with confidence. Remember these tips. Keep your language simple. Use the present tense. Use action verbs. Practice out loud. Be honest and enthusiastic. Ask questions to keep the conversation going. And most importantly, be proud of your job and your English skills. Now I want to leave you with a final thought. Your job is a big part of your life. It is how you spend your time and energy. It is something that makes you who you are. So talking about your job is talking about a part of yourself. Be proud of it. Share it with others. You have a story to tell, and English is your tool to tell it. You have everything you need to succeed. Believe in yourself. Practice every day. And never stop learning. Thank you again for joining me on Victoria English Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you feel more confident about talking about your job. I will see you in the next lesson. Until then, take care of yourself, keep practicing, and always smile. You are doing great. Goodbye for now.